Hi, everybody. I'm Rick, and I was a funeral director for over 35 years. I was also an embalmer, crematory operator, and I'm going to be answering some questions today. And this is my big brother, Randy, right over here.
I am indeed. And so today we're going to get right into a couple of questions. And of course, my job, well, what's Rick's job is to answer the questions that I'm asking. And I'm
Mhm.
asking your questions. And today,
Right.
when families have to choose between a casket urn, what should they look for?
It really just depends on their number one, on their finances, because there's a big range in prices. Um, Number two is just the how it looks. Some people are woodworkers, and they're going to want a wood casket. Some people might be a metalsmith, and he's definitely going to want a metal casket. Like I was saying before, I had a lot of women that their daughters were adamant that they didn't really care what it was made out of or how thick the metal was or any of that. They just wanted to make sure it was the right shade of green or the right shade of pink or, and they'd bring the clothes in and compare it to the interior, just like she was going to church.
It's really a
Make
personal
everything cool.
choice.
Yeah, it's all personal. Yeah.
Okay. And
Make sure her outfit's not going to clash with the interior, that kind of stuff.
so are they, how concerned are they about the thickness of the metal on the economy
They
model to
don't
the
even ask about it
Cadillac?
unless I bring it up. And when they start talking about why is this one this price, this one that, and that's one of the biggest reasons for the price
Okay.
difference is the thickness. It's called gauge, what the gauge of the
With the
metal is.
gauges, yeah.
Mhm.
And I believe the smaller the gauge, the thicker. Is that correct?
Um,
Or is it the bigger,
yes,
smaller the gauge, the
yes,
thicker it is?
yeah, the smaller, right?
Okay. So it
Because
kind
basically
of,
it just means how many of those stacked on top of
yeah,
each other
kind of
it would
intuitive
take
because
to make 1 inch
yeah, because they're kind of intuitive. You think 20 gauge would be
higher, but
smaller,
it's
would be
yeah.
bigger than 12 gauge, but
Mhm.
really 12 gauge is thicker than 20 gauge.
Right. Just
Okay.
like shotgun.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just like and that's yeah. So, what is the difference? Or let's scratch that one. So, can families personalize their funerals and memorials, and how?
Absolutely, they can. And I wish people would do it more often because if you don't personalize it, it becomes very cookie cutter. And there's only so much we can do if you won't allow for personalization. I'll tell you some things that people have done that I thought was really cool. Had a biker, not a Hell's Angel kind of guy, but just a biker that was in a motorcycle club like you used to be. His motorcycle is everything to him. He loved that bike.
Do you let them bring the motorcycle in?
You bet. Put it right next to the casket. And all his guys were there with their leathers on. You have that stuff too. And we let all his friends lead him to the graveside. All the motorcycles were out front. I had one guy that was a avid art collector. He had thousands and thousands of dollars worth of very expensive artwork that he had all over his house. And his son was going, would it be possible for you guys to take down all of your pictures that you have everywhere and just let us bring in a bunch of his stuff and hang it up?
Did you do that?
Absolutely. And for two
Yeah.
days, our funeral
Cool.
home was full of that guy's art.
Cool.
Um, we had woodworkers that he would do his wood carvings. He made shoes and little wooden knives and all sorts of things. He was really good at it. And his family brought in a whole bucket of those. And they were handing these out to people as they came to his funeral,
Huh.
or they let him pick out of the basket that they had. And that was pretty cool. There's lots of different way to do that.
I still am in the club. I haven't retired yet. That's coming up at the end of this year. Unless they don't let me. They didn't let me retire last year, so I had to stay on
Okay.
another year. So you're not going to retire. So do you recall how many motorcycle funerals have you done? We go out
Oh,
just
yeah.
just as many ways as other people do, but how
Mhm.
many think you've done?
Not really that many, less than a dozen.
Okay. Did they have guards standing around it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy, Patriot Guard's
No, I
fun.
don't mean Patriot guards. I meant the motorcycle club themselves. So, for instance, the guys came in their vests. Depending on whether the guy was going to be buried with his colors, some are, some not, and whether he's wearing them at the time of burial. Some want to be buried with their colors on, some don't want to be buried, some just
Mhm.
they send them back because they have to go back to the club. The family can't keep those. Those are property
Yeah.
of the motorcycle club. Sometimes they put them up like on a coat rack where you can see
Mhm.
them. But if they do that, they have to have a member of the club standing next to those colors.
Well, I've seen that happen a couple of times, and we didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah.
But they made the mistake, and we had to, at the end of the service, we had to come forward, close the casket, and move the casket. And we had to ask those guys to move because they were standing right where we needed to
Yeah.
be. If they'd have told us what they were going to do,
Yeah.
we could have told them where to
And
stand.
you
They would have
didn't
been in
know.
our way, but they were right in the way. Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of times, if the deceased isn't wearing the colors, then
Mhm.
you lay them on top. And if not, they should have taken the colors with them at night. Some do, some don't. Some say it's okay. I don't, not too sure in our club if we have to leave them or if we have to take them. But I do know in the one funeral I was at, one was wearing his colors
Mhm.
and the other one was sitting on a,
It's called a pray-do. It's a kneeler.
where you do?
Well, it's a kneeling bench, but
Okay.
its official name is a pray-do.
Okay. Well, it was over one of those that
Mhm.
was sitting there. You do A to Z. A funeral director will do A to Z when it comes to the funeral. You
Mhm.
have connections to everything. I can say to you, I never decided to get a monument for him or a headstone for him. You're going to
Right.
tell him where he's going to be laid, what you can get him. Who decides where? Family doesn't make any plans. Who decides where? Not what cemetery, because they almost all, I'm going to assume almost the family always have what cemetery they want them in for the most
Mhm.
part. But they said we want him to go over here to St. Mary's. Who decides where he is buried at in St.
Well,
Mary's?
if they haven't made any plans and they come in to arrange the funeral, then everything stops from the funeral director's point of view because they need to go to the cemetery first
Okay.
and lock in all the cemetery stuff so that we know from the cemetery how fast it's going to take them or how soon they could handle his funeral, his burial. They
Okay.
have to tell us when we can do it. And they might give us a couple options. And then we tell the family, okay, we can do it 1 o'clock on Tuesday or we can do it 2 o'clock on Wednesday. Which would you prefer?
You don't
So
say
the
he,
cemetery kind of decides that, but inside the cemetery, the actual spot, that's up to the family. They'll look here up on the hill and they'll look down here by the pond. And they'll look over here by the hedges and the roses and and they'll pick the spot because there'll be different prices for different
okay.
spots.
So really it's the cemetery that picks anything to do with where he's buried at inside the cemetery. You don't have anything to do with that.
It's between the family and the cemetery.
Okay. When it comes to monuments and headstones?
Again, that's usually the cemetery that does that.
Okay.
Sometimes the funeral home, depends on which funeral home you're at. So like our funeral home had a cemetery, um, and we had counselors that were from the cemetery. And so they would talk to the cemetery first and get their plot and their headstone worked out first, and then they'd talk about the funeral. And so two different people. That's
Okay. So, so,
two different
so,
me handling the funeral and a cemetery counselor handling all the other
so
stuff.
if I come in there with absolutely no plans,
Mhm.
um, then you're going to parse me out to, okay, you want the cemetery, you want to St. Mary's, you got to get a hold of St. Mary's. Would you set something up for them?
Oh,
Would you call up
I'd
St.
call the
Mary and say,
cemetery.
hey,
Yeah, I'd call them for them. Yeah,
the
and set up an
Johnsons are
appointment for
coming
them.
over?
Mhm. Yep.
What about a monument? I don't know where to get a monument at. What do I do?
Well, there are several monument companies in town, and some cemeteries handle them themselves. And if they do, I'll let them know that you can buy it from them, or you can go over here to Clark Monuments on the other side of town, or there's Johnson Monument over here. And personally, I know this guy that works at Johnson's, and I think they're a little bit more reasonable on their prices, and they do good work.
If I want to cheap out, can you tell me who's cheapest?
Yeah.
What about anything else? Anything else to families? Flowers? What about flowers?
Yeah, we usually take care of that. We have a book that we can let them, if they choose to put flowers in the casket or a standing spray, we have a book that we can let them look at and we have prices in there. No, this here's $300 and this is 350. If you want all roses, that might be 450 or whatever it is.
All
And
right.
they can choose and they don't have to have flowers. If they want to save that money and just put a flag over the casket, if he's a veteran, or um, some women are do crochet or they make these blankets. What do they call those? With a patchwork
Doilies.
quilt, like quilts.
Oh, like quilts.
And yeah, I'll tell them, just bring a quilt in and let's put one of her quilts that she made over her casket. And that's a great idea for personalization,
Okay.
you know.
Let's assume that you work at a funeral home that does everything. You have
Mhm.
flowers. You
Right.
have headstones. You're able to do your own headstones, or at least
Yep.
order them.
Mhm.
and it's part of your service, and you have your own cemetery there,
Hmm.
and you have your own caskets there.
We had all that.
And I walk in and I say, well, you're only a mile from the house, but I want to buy my own casket. I want to buy my own flowers. I want to buy my own headstone. I'm going to put them in my own cemetery. And anything else that you do, don't do it because I'm going to do it. All I want you to do is prepare and lay him out. And you say,
Okay.
do you look at the person and when you turn around from them, roll your eyes and say, oh boy, this is a cheapie?
It's not that it's a cheapie. It's that they're they don't know how long it's going to take to do all that stuff.
Yeah.
They said, now we're
Yeah.
going to do this Tuesday at 2 o'clock. And I'm going to get and it takes them 3 days to get the casket. Oh, wait, I didn't know it was going to take that long. So they usually mess it all up by doing it
Oh, okay.
themselves. Um, but we just kind of guide them through that, and they can do all of that. They can get their own flowers. They can get their own casket, have that sent in. They can arrange for their own marker. But if you have any problems with any of that, don't come to me.
Yeah. What
You go
would be the
talk to
biggest,
whoever you ordered it from. Yeah, don't bitch at me because your stuff's not there.
what would be the biggest delay? The casket?
Believe it or not, the flowers are the biggest
Yeah.
thing.
Huh.
I've had flowers arrive, the family orders on their own, and they arrive the day or the afternoon after the funeral's over. Or they
Okay.
get delivered and they're delivered out in the garage.
I
Nobody ever lets us know they're there. They just dropped them off and left.
Lori's mom died. I believe there were flowers that were delivered like a day later,
Oh
you
yeah,
know, and
yeah,
they called
happens
us
all the
up and
time.
said, hey, you got flowers over here. And it wasn't just flowers, it was a terrarium or something, which I always
Mhm.
think a terrarium is better,
It's
because you remember
nice.
when mom passed away, she had two or three or four terrariums,
Yep,
and
she did.
well, I think all of us were able to take one of them,
Yeah, well, I
you
got
know.
one, and they've kind of gone out of favor now. They're not as
Have they?
popular as they used to be.
Okay. So basically, if somebody wants to do it on their own, they can. But
They can, sure.
if the delay is because of something they're doing, you're going to charge them for a delay. You're
Well,
going
not
to,
necessarily. They probably won't pay more, but they probably won't get the time that they wanted to do it. Well, we wanted to do this at 1 o'clock. Well, the casket's not even going to be here till noon. I
yeah.
need some time to get your dad in it and
Well,
get him into
can't
a
you just
room.
put
And
them in
we have another funeral going on. We have to schedule our funerals too.
can't you just put them in a temporary casket?
No,
No.
that's illegal.
Okay.
They can't
I
come
was
out
just
of it.
wondering. I thought they could take out the interior and clean out the interior and put in. I always
In
thought,
a rental casket, they can.
yeah, in a rental casket.
A
You
rental
don't have,
casket's for cremation. It's just a cardboard box inside of it.
don't you have a nice, pretty casket for the service and then take them out of that and put them in a box?
Not for a burial.
No, no, I'm talking about for cremation.
Yeah,
Okay. And that's your rental.
it's called a rental casket. Yeah.
And explain a rental casket.
It's a cremation casket. On the outside, it's a regular wooden oak casket. And the interior is made a little bit differently to where it hides the fact that there's an inner liner underneath all that interior that's basically a cremation container.
Okay.
And so after the funeral's over, everybody leaves because now a cremation has to take place. And we simply, the bottom of the casket drops down and we roll that inner liner out with the
Okay.
deceased in it. It's a cardboard box and it has a lid that goes on top of it. And then we take just that interior to the crematory to be cremated. And then once the cremation's ready, we go back and pick that up.
So it looks like a regular casket to the viewer,
Absolutely it is. Yeah.
but it's not a
Mhm.
real cat. It's not,
That's right.
it's when I say real casket, I mean technically it's a casket, but it's designed to be reused over and
Yeah,
over and
it's
over
made
again.
for that purpose, and instead of costing $6,000 or $7,000, which it would for this
Right.
solid oak casket, I think our rental charge was $14.95 or
Okay.
less than $2,000.
Someone is going to be cremated. What does the cardboard box cost? The cremation thing.
Well, that's what I'm saying. About 1,400. It changes all the time, but last time I think it was definitely under 2,000. I think it was 14.95.
That's just
Um,
for the cremation box.
it's for both. It's for both of them. It's for the use of the outer shell
Right.
and the interior that has to be replaced, and us placing them in there, putting them in there, taking them back out for that whole service, plus the interior, the exterior, all that is 14.95 or
When you were
19.95 or whatever it is. Yeah.
few years ago when you were prices changed. We're not saying what
Yeah.
it is now. Could be more, could be less, depending
Yeah.
where
Oh,
you're
it'd
at.
be more. It's not never going to be
Yeah.
less.
Well, if I decided not to be shown,
Hmm.
what's that box going to cost me? Because you got to throw me in something. I don't want to be shown. I just
100,
want to be cremated.
$195. I'm thinking
Okay.
about $200,
So
maybe
there's
295.
somewhere a $1,200 charge just for using your,
Yeah, because it's not the same box. This one has a pillow and has
oh, it's not the
fabric, and
same box. Okay.
it's very similar, but it's not the same box.
Okay. So what you put them in is a little bit more fancier if you're going to show
Right.
them than what
In a
I
casket.
would get just going with no
Yes.
service.
It
Okay.
would, all the interior gets cremated each time.
Okay.
All the pillow does, you can't reuse all that stuff.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I wasn't thinking about that. If you're going to put them in it, got to have some type of interior on it.
Hmm.
Okay. Where with me, if you're just going to put me in a cremation box itself and not show
Right.
me, it's just a box. Nothing
And why
fancy.
even, and that usually wouldn't even be put in the room.
Okay. Well,
If you're
that
going
was
to do
that was my
that,
next question. That was my
if you're going
next
to do that,
question.
just put a picture up on the table and some flowers around it, not even have that cardboard box. Why would you want to show that?
Yeah, that was my next question. Have you had anybody ever say, I don't want to pay that $1,500, just put them in a regular cremation box and put them up on the stance?
No,
No. Okay.
I don't think
Well,
I've anybody who wants to do that, that's not important to them. The casket's not important. The showing is not important to them. So we'll just put up a table with their picture and maybe other knickknacks that you want to bring in and flowers around that. We can make it look nice that way.
well, let me ask this question. If somebody was going to be cremated and they said, I
Mhm.
don't want to do your rental box, just put them in a cremation box and show him. Could you? Would you?
I could, um, and if you just want the rental box, it wouldn't make sense to get one with the interior because it wouldn't look right. But we could just put a regular pillow under their head and show them that way with a
Okay.
blanket over them or something.
Just,
But there's no handles on it for pallbearers or anything else. It's not like a
but if
casket.
somebody wanted it like that, he has this thing that just does not want to be in any type of a casket, whether it's a fake casket, it's a real casket, but he wants to be shown, but he doesn't want to be in a casket.
Well, unless he can walk, he's going in something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I know. That was my next point. He's got to go in something, but there's some people who just don't want to be anything to do with a casket.
Yeah.
And one of these we're going to talk about, one of these questions, just a previous, not today, because we're almost out of time here around Rick.
Okay.
But we're going to be talking about different ways that you can be laid out at a funeral home.
Hmm.
See those ones usually in not Indonesia, but I think Puerto Rico, where
Yeah.
they're
Puerto Rico
sitting
does
at a
them. Yeah.
table drinking a beer, or they're playing cards.
I wish I had
Uh,
an opportunity to do one of those. I never
you never
did.
done one.
No. Where
Ah,
they embalm them up like this, where they're on their
yeah, on a
motorcycle.
motorcycle. I seen one in an ambulance.
I saw one in his reclining chair. They embalmed him and
Yeah.
put him in his chair,
Yeah.
and they embalmed it just like in the shape that he needed to be to fit in that chair,
We'll
because he
have
still has to be
to.
embalmed on a flat embalming table. So they have to get creative about how to position their body. And
Yeah, I
he's
mean,
going
yeah,
to have a
because they have
remote.
to embalm them while they're sitting up,
He's
right?
got a beer in one hand, so they have to do something with his hand. They got a remote over here, and he's or whatever they're doing. I never had a chance to do one of those.
You
That would
think
be
they would,
costly.
if someone
That
was
would be
sitting
a
on their
charge.
if somebody was sitting on their motorcycle, do you think that they would have them on the motorcycle before the embalming? Or
Well, they couldn't because embalming takes fluids and it takes blood and there's water and there's soap and there's all that is part of that. And so that,
it's a messy thing.
yeah, 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 they have to be on a table and you can't get the motorcycle up on a table.
So they would have to, maybe they got like a jig, maybe they make a jig or
Well, it's
something.
probably the only time once in their whole, they have to create something because there's no jig for that. They have to
Well,
look at the thing, okay, we need to, instead of keeping his legs close, we need to have him on his side. And then we need to have his legs spread this much. And we need to have his arms up instead of like this. His
it
arms
has
need
to
to be up. You know,
it
you have to
has to
get
be in
creative.
yeah, but it has to be an art form because when you look at some of these people, they look pretty
Oh, it's
doggone
definitely
good.
it's definitely an art form, and I'm
Yeah.
sure there are specialists that do it,
Yeah.
and it wouldn't be cheap.
Maybe on down the line we'll look at them, we'll get our perspective on it. We'll do
I've
a
never been. I would love to go to one of those. It would be so cool to see for
yeah. Yeah. I don't know if they
morbid
still I don't
sort of
know
a
if I
guy.
haven't seen any new photos. The photos are about 10 years or so.
I only know about five or six of
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
actually happening. Yeah. One that might interest you real quickly is I saw a guy that was embalmed in the sitting position. They put him in the sidecar of a motorcycle
Yeah.
and they took him to the cemetery that way and then placed him in his casket, I guess.
Yeah, there was a guy. Did you see the guy? And it was a motorcycle, but he was down here in Ohio, and I've been meaning to go down to him. He was on his Harley, sitting on his Harley with his helmet on in a glass coffin.
Oh,
and they had to build a special vault for him.
I
But he's
think I
on the
saw that. I
Harley.
saw a picture. I saw a picture of that.
Mm.
Yeah.
I don't know. And the people in their cars. I don't.
Some people just have more money than they know what to do with.
There was one. There was one. She's out in New York. She's buried. They actually is huge, huge. It's a house. They actually built a vault that is separated rooms. She's got a bedroom, a front room, a kitchen in there, and all that stuff is
Oh,
in there. And she is in there in the chair in the front room
okay.
of it. I guess maybe a TV too. I don't know. All right. That's it for today's episode of Mortuary Files. If you like what you see, please considering subscribing, giving it a thumbs up, and commenting. We need your questions. Please, please,
You
please, if
bet.
you're watching this, send a question. Anything else? Any final words, Rick?
If you're a funeral director in the funeral service industry and you got the
Oh,
story you
yeah.
want to tell, either we'll put you on here and you can tell it, or send it to me and I'll tell it for you.
And if you work at a cemetery, we'd like to hear from you. If you'd like to go on
You
here,
bet.
be our special guest, we're still looking for some special guests who would like to do, maybe like once a
Mhm.
month we can get together. You can come on and you can tell us your odd stories of funerals or
Everybody's got a strange
questions.
story.
I don't know how much of an expert are you at cemeteries themselves?
I pretty much know everything that goes on there.
Uh, Maybe we'll bring you on once a month then. How's that?
Yeah.
We'll have you here and you here. All
I've
right.
done everything but dig a grave. Everything else I've done.
If you're a grave digger, there's another one. If you're a grave digger,
Yeah.
because I knew a grave digger in New Orleans that's all he did. They were digging up graves because they were buried in without vaults. And they were digging up everything that had collapsed and they were putting vaults down and then putting everything into the vault. With that, we'll talk to you all on the next one.
Thank you.
Bam.
Don't you ever laugh as the hearse goes by, for you may be the next to die.